Kept straining her eyes through the tempest for a sight of the witchlight Keth had promised to leave at the front, to distinguish their tent from the 200-odd just like it. They were practically on top of it before she saw the light, a blue glow outlining the door flap and brightening the fastenings. She wrestled with the balky rawhide ties. The cold made her fingers stiff, and it took so long to get them unfastened that she was swearing enough to warm the whole camp before she had the tent flaps open. Having Worrell pressed up against her like a sodden, unhappy cat did not help. The wind practically threw Tarma into the tent, and half the sleet that was knifing down on their camp tried to come in with her. Worrell remained plastered against her side, not at all helpful, smelling in the pungent, penetrating way only a wet wolf can smell, even if Worrell only resembled a wolf superficially. The Kyrie was not averse to reminding Tarma several times a day, as in fact he was doing now, that they could have been curled up in a cozy inn if they hadn't signed on with this mercenary company. She turned her back to the occupant of the tent as soon as she got past the tent flaps. She needed all her attention to get them laced shut against the perverse pull of the wind. "Gods of damnation!" she spat through stiff lips. "Why did I ever think this was a good idea?" Kethry, only just now waking from a light doze, refrained from replying. She just waited until Tarma got the tent closed up again. Then she spoke 3 guttural words, activating the spell she'd set there before drowsing off, and a warm yellow glow raced around the tent walls, meeting and spreading upward until the canvas was bathed in mellow light and the temperature within suddenly rose to that of a balmy spring day. Tarma sighed and sagged a little. "Let me take that," Kethry said then, unwinding herself from the thick wool blankets of her bedroll, rising and pulling the woolen coat, stiff with ice, from Tarma's angular shoulders. "Get out of those soaked clothes." The swordswoman shook water out of her short-cropped black hair and only just prevented Worrell from trying the same maneuver. "Don't you dare, you flea-bitten cur! Gods above and below, you'll soak every damned thing in the tent!" Worrell hung his head and looked sheepish, and waited for his mind-mate to throw an old threadbare horse blanket over him. Tarma enveloped him in it, head to tail, held it in place while he shook himself, then used it to towel off his coarse gray-black fur. "Glad to see you, Green Eyes," Tarma continued, stripping herself down to the skin, occasionally wincing as she moved. She rummaged in her pack, finding new underclothing, and finally pulling on dry breeches, thick leggings, and a shirt of dark brown lamb's wool. "I thought you'd still be with your crew." Kethry gave an involuntary shudder of sympathy at the sight of her partner's nearly emaciated frame. Tarma was always thin, but as this campaign had stretched on and on, she'd become nothing but whipcord over bone. She hadn't an ounce of flesh to spare. No wonder she complained of being cold so much. And the scars lacing her golden skin only gave a faint indication of the places where she'd taken deeper damage, places that would ache demonically in foul weather. Kethry gave her spell another little mental nudge, sending the temperature of the tent a notch upward. "I should have been doing this on a regular basis," she told herself guiltily. Well, that soon mended. "So, there's not much more I can do." The sweet-faced sorceress gathered strands of hair like sun-touched amber into both hands, twisting her curly mane into a knot at the back of her neck. The light from the shaded lantern which hung on the tent's crossbar, augmented by the light of the shielding spell, was strong enough that Tarma noted the dark circles under her cloudy green eyes. "Tresty is accomplishing more than I can at this point. You know my magic isn't really the healing kind, and on top of that, right now we have more wounded men than women."